Welcome, one and all, to this week's episode of The Síle Show. My guest today has been a very familiar presence in Irish fashion, media, and lifestyle for very many years. Caroline McElroy is a stylist, broadcaster, and all-round creative communicator whose professional life has spanned not just, as we said, fashion and media, but healthcare and aviation as well. A career shaped by experience, discipline, and a keen engagement with her very supportive public. Having originally trained as a nurse, Caroline began her working life in a profession very much defined by care and responsibility. Not unlike that, she later gravitated towards aviation, working as cabin crew, originally with Virgin Atlantic and presently with Aer Lingus, where travel now forms part of both her professional and her creative life. We'll hear a little bit more about that later. Fashion, on the other hand, has been a sustained and deliberate pursuit of Caroline's throughout her entire life. After returning to college to study fashion formally, she established herself as a personal stylist and fashion presenter, recognised for an approach that values individuality, confidence, and real-life style choices over trends. She actually speaks about style as something that should be quite considered and is very personal, a way of expressing and supporting, in fact, exactly who you are, rather than merely a performance for others. Her work includes television and radio appearances, fashion events and public speaking, as well as more recently, written and digital content creation, inspired, as we've alluded to, by travel. Her work trip vlogs in particular continue to garner huge interest and traction in equal measure. Caroline's career and life, in fact, have also been shaped by very profound personal experiences and, sadly, much loss. Through change and challenge, however, she embodies today, insofar as she can, the possibility, at least, and potential for post-traumatic growth. The idea that even after loss or difficulty, it is possible to emerge with perspective, resilience, and renewed purpose. Today, we're going to explore style as something deeply personal, confidence as something accumulated rather than assumed, the role of attachment style and attractor factor in our relationships and situationships, and how a life informed by experience can be lived with greater awareness, intention, and ease, as we learn the lessons that said experiences intend to teach us. So, without further ado, Caroline McElroy, the heartiest of Síle Show welcomes to lovely you.
Thank you so much. It's just wonderful being here. And we only connected a week ago and here we are. It's incredible. So I'm delighted. Thank you.
Likewise, really looking forward to our chat. So Caroline, can I take you back to the very beginning? When I did my research, I realised that you were maybe inclining towards journalism in the beginning, not a path that you followed. You went and did nursing first, but you've unfolded into so many other iterations of Lovely You and are still unfolding and evolving.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it was, in secondary school, we have our favourite subjects and our not so favourite subjects. And mine was English and biology. And I loved writing. I loved reading. I just absorbed books. And that English subject, I blossomed in it. And it was probably one of the faults that I did when I was studying for my Leaving Cert was I always went for the English first. You're supposed to go for the ones that aren't your favourites, but I went for the English first. But I didn't get the points for journalism at the time. And that was okay. So I just felt, what was my next best thing? And it was biology. I loved biology too. And we have a medical family as well. So the natural progression was then to go into nursing, which I did.
Lovely. So a medical family, other
Yes.
doctors, nurses?
Yes, in the family, yes.
Lovely.
So, yeah.
So perhaps a natural inclination.
Yes, it was either that or accounting, which my father was, and he was in finances, and I wasn't any good at that. So that wasn't wasn't a road I was going down. Definitely not.
And did you practice as a nurse for a period of time?
I did, absolutely. But as grateful as I am to have that and to have had that experience, and it has stood to me through the years, having children and then with my own health as well, and health of others. And obviously, just that interest in it. I didn't, I suppose, maybe fully sit in it. I didn't see this as what I would be continuing doing. I just didn't find full fulfillment in it.
Yeah, it didn't grow you.
No,
Not at that time,
not
anyway.
at that time anyway.
But as we chatted briefly about before we went on air, everything in life is teeing up the next thing. Even if it's not chronologically next, it's happening at some stage. It's never without a reason.
Sure. Yes, I agree.
So you went on then from nursing into Aer Lingus.
I went on to Virgin Atlantic.
That's right.
Yes, because I was in London at the time. And that was always a huge pull that I loved flying. I just loved the feeling of, just as a passenger, the feeling of that takeoff. There was nearly like a rose-tinted look at the cabin crew as well. So this was a draw that was, absolutely pulling at me. And then I suppose I had the nursing. And when I was doing my application for Virgin Atlantic, and it was all on paper in those days, there was no, online, there was no internet or anything like that. So when you're writing down what your qualifications are, and I had my degree in nursing, they were like, well, they definitely always want a medic on board.
Yes.
So that kind of gave me a good in with Virgin Atlantic, and I absolutely fell in love with it. So I was 2 years there. But at the stage, I was living in London. I was still just coming out of student life and only starting my career in nursing. Didn't have a lot of finance behind me. And then with that cabin crew lifestyle as well, I definitely wasn't. There was no savings. So my dad at the time said, right, that's enough fun. It's time you came home. So it was 2 years in Virgin Atlantic.
And then came home and went back to study fashion formally at that stage. Am I right? Or am I skipping a few years?
Yes, well, I came home, did some nursing then, and then I married, and I had my 2 beautiful daughters, Lily and Ruby, subsequently. And while I was a stay-at-home mom, that's where that kind of fashion came in. I did some modelling in London as well. That was just to, help me with my student life, and it was a little bit of extra income. So there was that kind of, I wouldn't say I was naturally, I had that fashion flair really. That kind of grew as time went on, So I suppose then with that, going back into fashion, it was a friend of mine who said it to me. She said, you should be doing this, because I was bringing friends, I was bringing other women shopping. They were admiring my outfits, putting together pieces. And it was like Trini and Susanna were out at that stage. And it was like, why aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
So then that was a little light bulb moment. Went, okay, maybe I should.
Amazing. And what did that look like then? You were a personal shopper?
Yes. So I went down to Cork to study fashion, and that was on a part-time basis. So I was up and down at weekends. And Lily and Ruby were very small at the time. So Ruby was only 6 months old and Lily was 2.5. So I started the business just as that personal shopping, wardrobe decluttering and colour analysis. And it was amazing. It was amazing to do this for women, because they had, wardrobes full of clothes, which we still do, but no idea how to put them together, had kind of lost themselves, giving so much of themselves to their families, and then losing themselves in the meantime.
For sure. Sure. And so the ideal time to do that. And the world has changed since then, but you have adapted with that. And post-digital disruption, you're still doing what you did then, but you're doing it by the new model now.
The new means, yes.
Yes, and creating content. And even when you go on your trips, you're creating content and bringing in the fashion and the geography.
Yes.
And your following is increasing all the time.
Do you know what? You would think that. I don't know if the following is increasing all the time. I'm very grateful of the numbers that I have. And, at the same time, the numbers do flow up and down like that. But you kind of just stay true to yourself for your socials. And that's what I like to do. I don't live by it, but I'm just kind of doing what suits me. And the fashion does come into it. The personal side of things, the personal shopping and the wardrobe decluttering has waned a little bit with social media. It is still there, it still exists, and there are still those bookings, but it's not what it used to be, absolutely.
Yeah, because I suppose people, is that because, I shouldn't presume, is that because people can see online what to put, they can even use Pinterest to put outfits together.
Completely, and Google and whatever else, but that doesn't solve the issue of the bulging wardrobe. So they still need a little bit of hand in that. And not necessarily with personal shopping, but the wardrobe decluttering is still extremely, extremely helpful because that's where the fog is. And they're constantly piling in another fix and another fix, and the inability to let go. So that still has its place.
There's a lot of psychotherapy involved in that as well.
Completely.
You're chatting with people, you're helping. And I think maybe the connection that's involved in that. People are lonely too.
Yes.
There's an element of feeding a need in there that's very hidden, but really needs to be fed, I'm sure, feeding that hungry ghost. When you have somebody to come in with you, another girl who'll pay attention to you, pay attention to your wardrobe, help you to see what's good, and you have the chat. And I'm sure you have integrity when you see people trying on what they've had in their wardrobe for years. You won't just say, dump it because you've not worn it for 2 years. No. You might say, you know what, that doesn't fit the changing you. That doesn't fit your body right now.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
And it's the trust element in it as well, and the honesty with it, and the gentleness with it. And it's the care around it as well. It's not just, oh my God, that doesn't suit you anymore, or that's not fitting in your lifestyle anymore. It's like, maybe think about this.
Yeah.
What is this doing for you? How does it make you feel? If it's not making you feel good, why is it there?
Yes.
And it's the letting go then as well. And it's in that wardrobe decluttering, what you're doing is you're developing their personal style along with it. They don't really realize it, but in that they're going, oh my God, I never thought of it this way. I never thought of that way. I never felt like this before. Why is that there? That has no use for me anymore. And it's actually making me feel worse.
Yes.
So there is a little bit of therapy in it as well. And you will know all about that too.
Of course there is. Yeah. There's even an element of scarcity mentality comes into that, because people don't want to get rid of an item of clothing that they bought at whatever time, perhaps because they spent a lot of money on it at the time.
And it hurts.
It does. Yeah. But equally, that same person then might be working out a trait within themselves that would necessarily perhaps eat the contents of the fridge rather than throw it out because they're about to go on a diet next week. We chatted briefly about this type of thing before we went on air as well.
Yeah.
And it's that whole sense of scarcity mentality as opposed to abundance mentality. I'm worthy. I'm worth it.
Mm.
That doesn't say anything about who I am today. Perhaps it did say a lot about who I was before when I bought it.
Yeah.
But it's okay to put that down now, like lots of other parts of our growth and development. If we were forever to stay as we were back then, we wouldn't be expanding.
Exactly. And learn from it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like learning from it as well. What do I keep going for? What is my comfort zone? Why do I keep buying that same color? Why do I buy 5 pairs of that same pair of jeans? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
It's questioning it as well. But that mentality of, holding on to things or eating the contents of the fridge, or that's mañana.
Yeah.
That is that there too. But today is all we have.
Yes.
Tomorrow isn't promised. So live today, and wear the clothes, wear the perfume, wear the makeup, do it now, and there's a part of that too.
I love that, Caroline. You've got great life wisdom, hard earned in a lot of cases. So we chatted briefly during the week as well about some of the greatest adversities that you've faced in your life and how they taught you those huge life changing and light bearing lessons, really. Starting perhaps with loss. Are you okay to chat about that?
Yes, absolutely. It's something that comes to us all.
Yes.
Absolutely. But when it does come, it is quite the beast. It really is. And I know I've spoken previously in other podcasts, and I have shared certain elements of it on my socials. Sometimes I wonder, is that a place to do so? So it's lovely to be able to do it here as well and to be able to be open about it. But yes, there was quite a few years where there was a lot, and it seemed like it was never ending. Yeah. So it was losing my dad, my mom, and my brother in quick succession. And to say that left both myself and my family vulnerable is an understatement. So it was a lot in one go.
It was indeed. It was indeed. And did you seek therapy at the time? Did you find as a family that you pulled together to help each other through? Or were you all on your own solo journey?
It's very interesting that you asked that. It's such an interesting question. We were all individual, and I can see that now, and that is something that you don't see happening. You sometimes think it could pull you together. There's certain family members that were weaving in and out with each other and were together or not together, or there was disagreements. But like in grief, you think grief is just sadness. Like really, there is a lot of anger in there as well. And that can manifest itself at different stages with different people. So there had to be that compassion for that too as well. When you're in the thick of it, sometimes you don't see that because it can be so central. It's so internal. Grief is so internal. And when I see others online that have lost parents and are speaking out about it, I can see it. I now can see it in people what I was going through or what my siblings are going through as well.
Yeah, you can't see what's on the label when you're in the jar.
Not when you're in it, no.
So it's really helpful to borrow a brain. That's what we say in psychology. To we can lend our neocortex to each other at a time when we're stuck in our emotional brain and our limbic system. And in a case like that, the amygdala, the monkey, is driving the bus. We're not making sense of anything. And as that one thing is protracted and perhaps pathological at a certain stage, because grieving is normal and natural and typical, but after a period of time, unless you begin to climb out of there learning the lessons, it is becoming pathological, and there comes a time when you might need help.
Yeah.
So there was a time like that in your life, Caroline.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think through my life, I've dipped and flowed in through therapy and different therapists and finding ones that you need at the particular time. So with the grief, yes, I was dipping in and out as well, trying to find that. I also had separated previously as well. So that was another grief on top of it. But as we chatted before, it was, as you so eloquently said, it was disenfranchised grief. And at the time, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that this was compounding. And this was on top of it as well. And there was very little compassion, not only for myself for it, but from others. Because as a society, we can misunderstand marriage breakdown. And it gears towards who's at fault. And that's not what it's about at all. So that was hugely difficult and very challenging and left me very wide open and very vulnerable. So, of course, therapy had its place.
Yes, of course. And I think from the point of view of that being disenfranchised and probably pushed into the shadow of you, and you would have been continuing because you had your young girls at the time. At what age were they when you separated?
So roughly when I think back now, they're 21 and 20 now. So, 9 years ago. So they were young enough. They were young enough. Now, in that as well, Lily and Ruby and I have a very close relationship now. And I do talk to them about it because there is that element of guilt with it too. And they say that they now, which is so honest and open, they say that they would prefer that it was that case than we were living together and unhappy.
Yes.
They nearly see it like they're such good girls now. They're so well balanced. And they are just beautiful and growing into beautiful young women. I'm so proud of them. But they say now that when they look back, it was better in the long run. As hard as it was better.
Yeah. So they remember, do they?
They do, absolutely. Yeah. They do.
It's a credit to you and I'm sure to your ex-husband that they do. Because attachment styles are formed in our formative years and they pertain to the bond that we have with our primary caregivers. And then our understanding of that connection and our understanding of ourselves within it and how safe we feel or not. So we're going to repurpose those particular networks in our adult romantic relationships and our friendships until we do the work. So if we can help our children to unpack, unpick and understand the troubles and traumas as they're growing up, we make life so much easier for them.
Yes.
Because things will be insecure in everybody's life, no matter how great parents are, whether or not there's a divorce. But divorce is a very challenging thing for children for all obvious reasons. But if you can get them to a point, and they're still very young, at 20 and 21, where they can honestly say that they realise now, with the value of hindsight, that it was better for you and for them, you've clearly done a really good job.
And I think that along the way as well, I nearly take that reluctantly because as a mother, I have made so many mistakes. And And that's the thing with them. I am so honest with them too, and say that as a mother, as a human, as a woman, that I've made those mistakes as well. And I'm honest about them and think, because I want to be open with them about those mistakes, to know that that parental person is a human too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I've done an amazing job or anything like that, but it's been a journey, and it's been honest, and we've been together with it.
Yeah. Well, I think that you clearly have done a really good job, because even being able to say that radical self-honesty is a skill. It's not a given. And even to just sit with the sense that I have not got it right as a parent is a great place for your child to do a heart hook in there and reparent themselves in your company.
Yeah.
Because you're reparenting yourself as an adult, whatever age you are, to fix the core fractures of your formative years, your early life experience, as you can rise into the honesty and the truth of that with your children. It really doesn't get any better, because there's nothing perfect. Nobody's life is perfect.
Yeah.
Parents don't get it right. There is no manual. If there was, we would RTFM. There isn't. And we're going to make those mistakes. But I firmly believe, and I see in my clinical practice all the time, the more inclined we are as parents to be honest about where we feel we've gone wrong, because that's all we can do, where we feel we've gone wrong, the more permission we give our children to rise into the best of themselves and to take all of those adversities as learnings.
Yes.
And then they don't have to experience that themselves going forward. They'll have their own troubles. They won't get it right either. And that's the lovely learning space that we're in. So the grief that you experienced at that time would have been different even to the grieving for your parents, because you'll have to have continued rearing your children, getting on with your work. In fact, maybe take on more work, because everything changes. When people decide to separate, there's an economic factor as well that you don't want to have to look at, because currency feels so unimportant in the bigger scheme of fixing your heart and finding your peace. But these things have to be considered when you're rearing children.
Yes, and it's survival. You have to keep going.
Yeah.
You have to keep going, even though that there's the struggles there. And that is the battle, I think, in your head then as well, because you have to keep showing up, whereas at the same time, you're really struggling. And then, with the challenges of then parents getting ill, then passing, and then my brother with his long illness, and that just turning that terrible corner is devastating. So to be honest with you, I'm glad I'm sitting here at the, they say there was it was actually a 9-year cycle. And even when I was looking at the new year coming in this year of the horse, I can nearly feel the turn.
Yeah.
But they were tough years.
Yeah.
But by God, do you grow in them?
Of course.
And that's saying it kindly, because there was many, many serious downs with it. Yeah.
So there was one particular point in your life where it was so challenging that you realized you weren't really happy in the world and you needed to get help. Yeah.
Yeah. And serious help.
Yeah.
And it was extremely challenging. And I have such sympathy for people who feel like that or have lost family members that haven't survived that. So it is devastating, and it's devastating to the person, and it's devastating to people around you. So yes, absolutely. I think I just reached that point where I couldn't take anymore. It was like the blows kept happening and I wasn't capable of withstanding another. And I just felt like, where is the let up here? And you nearly question, what have I done in a past life? Have I been a terror in a past life to deserve this? But there was the choice then afterwards, after that survival, there was a choice of, what do I do now with this? Where do I go with this?
Yeah.
And it was starting as a mother. And that being a mother, and even to my children and to myself. And to come out of that and to grow out of it, it took a very challenging 6 months to do that. Yeah. But it was so worthwhile.
What did that initial period of realizing that you were at the end of your capacity at that time, what did it look like, Carolyn? What were you feeling? How did you know that was different to a different day or a different period of time?
God, that's a tough one. But it's not necessarily something that I want to delve into too much, because it's very, I suppose, sometimes it can be very heavy and it's also quite personal. But the only way I can describe it is that loss of hope, that loss of, as I said, there was nearly no let up, and it was like, where is the release here?
Mhm.
You know, what what's the future now?
Mhm.
And that's where your future is, your hope and growing and learning. To me, I felt like I'd come to a brick wall,
Yeah.
and that was that brick wall. But in saying that, in hindsight, now looking back at the growth, I am so glad that it happened, because to me, that was like a rebirth.
Of course. So it happened for you, not to you.
Yes,
There was a point in time when you realized this is my set point now. I up is where I go from here. So when
completely.
you're evolving in certain vibrational spaces and places, and your frequency is in a certain place, and you're feeling guilty, shameful. We talked about these things, that the map of consciousness. It's a lovely model for understanding. If I'm in the vibrational vicinity of guilt and blame game and villain victim, it is not going to make my boat go faster. Here is where I will stay. And as long as this is what I'm offering vibrationally, as long as I feel this, and this is the feeling state that I'm in, I will be getting an exact match for that. So at that point, even if you didn't understand it through that particular language or that particular lens, see it through that lens, you were beginning quite naturally, because Mother Nature will look after you. You are a healer, and your body is really robust, and your brain is robust, and your mind is robust, your mind being your brain in motion. It's intended to keep you safe. It's intended to push you forward to get your needs met, whilst avoiding the core fractures, avoiding the belief systems that you've had in place for years and years, that limited thinking. And on that day, or in that period of time, you clearly had the epiphany. You realize, I have to reparent my anxious inner child that is bringing on more and more of the same lessons. I have to learn this lesson so I can have the page turned and move to the next lesson in my curriculum.
Yes. And there was something I came across on socials as well, and they talk about not everybody is spiritual, and I understand that. But if you have that spirituality and that belief, certainly I grew up in a home where my mother was very religious. So there was, that was nearly, you had to go to mass and you had to say your rosary, and if you were caught going up the stairs, she'd pull you back, and you'd have to say the rosary in the sitting room with her and all of that. That's that we grew up with that, but it's more for what I feel is more spirituality. But they do say when your soul is coming down to the earth and it's choosing the body and choosing the family and life, it's also choosing the lessons.
Of course.
And then if you are in any way spiritual, you're like, God, why are you doing this to me? Where it's actually, we picked it.
Yeah.
We filled in those boxes to learn those lessons. It takes time to make peace with that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're coming out of it, you're going, now I get that now. Now I understand. Now I have compassion, not only for myself, but for others. And there's a little kind of settling in yourself. So I can understand it now, and I can feel it now that I'm on the other side. And it's not to say that there won't be more challenges, but maybe that kind of sense and that growth will help deal with them better.
Of course. It's a lovely, you're reconciling your soul contract all the while, and you realize that you're not on your own, that there is a higher power at play, and that higher power has you in its focus, knows what you need, and is delivering.
Yes.
And the only reason it hasn't manifested in a way that feels more comfortable or more natural or more inclined to your higher purpose is because the blocks in the operating system are your learnings, so your lessons.
Yes.
And my lessons and our collective lessons, and we're holding back on ourselves for some reason. It usually comes back, in my own experience, in my own life experience, in my own clinical practice, it comes back again to the core fractures, to healing, to the inner child work that we need to do. And that's never about our parents. It's never about what they did or didn't do, right or wrong. You quite naturally said a little while ago, I'm not sure that I got it all right. Or I think you might have even pushed that out and said, I didn't get it all right, which we can all easily say. But actually, our children's learnings are their learnings. They chose it in soul school as well, as did you.
Yes.
They chose you. Your beautiful Ruby and
Lily
chose you, because only through you and your ex-husband and your collective families of origin, could they possibly repotentiate the DNA that you gave them? So they take on what you give them, for sure, but then it becomes about them. And there comes a time in their lives when they will reparent and they'll close the gap on what you didn't manage to do for them at that early stage, because we're all running forward, hopefully, with joy to have our basic emotional needs met as healthily as we can.
Yes,
Because
yes,
when we don't get them met healthily, we're going to be getting them met unhealthily.
yes.
So we might be eating our feelings or drinking our feelings or escaping, whatever way we can, numbing.
Absolutely numbing, and like and we've all been guilty of that as well. Absolutely, and especially in Ireland, and in Europe that we do that, and it's such a tough one because it's societal as well. Yeah. So
And a lot of things playing out online make those things a little bit more acute. We talked about aesthetics, which you're now involved in, and that sense of people perhaps never being happy with how they look.
yeah,
And then I suppose the middle ground between being able to have procedures done to enhance how we feel about ourselves, but as long as it is to enhance how we feel about ourselves and not because we're performing for other people, they're two very different stories.
yeah.
So will you tell us, you've taken your nursing into your own business now?
Yes. So, with the age that we are now, we want to, let's say, from previously when I was working with women, dressing them and styling them and working with their wardrobes and what they have. Now we're working with what you have, with no more than you would dye your hair or do your lashes or do your nails, which I have not done. So I'm giving my nails a break for the new year. But any of that kind of stuff to make ourselves feel better, the way we dress, the way we present ourselves. It also comes in the form of aesthetics now. And that is available to us now, and it's available as in whether we choose to do it or not to choose to do it. And that is a personal choice. But again, it's feeling good in our skin. So what I have done with mine, and yes, I still have the nursing, which is marvellous to have, is again, forming that into a way of helping other women feel good about themselves and bring back their confidence. And it really is with skin rejuvenation and making the skin work the best for itself. So it is self-care. So it's not necessarily pulling, tucking, surgery, all that kind of stuff. It's actually doing it in a way that your skin responds so well. It's the lovely elevation, it's the plumping, it's the glow, and it's that feel-good factor in it. So that's the skin rejuvenation that I've gone back into, as if I don't have enough to do. But started last March, started training again. And so finally actually set up, and it is from my home. It's starting very small because obviously I have my job with Aer Lingus and I have my online work, and now I have this. But I have to say, the rewards that come from this is tremendous. The chats that I have with women that are lying on the aesthetic bed, and the things that we, do with microneedling, biostimulators, skin boosters, chemical peels, fabulous skin at the end of it. But the chats and the things that we talk about and the response then that I get back from that, I cannot tell you how enjoyable that work is. It's amazing.
Of course. So you're clearly very interested in psychology as well, because all of the things we've talked about so far, from dressing people to decluttering their wardrobes with them, spending time in quality connection with them, even your work as a flight attendant, you're engaging with people all of the time, public facing, there's an element of care and responsibility in all of that. So I think quite pivotal to the beautiful person that you are and the forever evolving person that you are is quality connection. And I think if we cast back even briefly to that period of time that was so difficult when you separated from your husband first, your attachment style at the time was probably not having its needs met. It's never anybody's one person's fault. It's the me, the you, the we. And how you were interacting with the world probably wasn't having enough conversation, enough quality connection just in that particular relationship. So now you're growing that attachment style to be more secure for the meeting of your needs, helping other people while you do it. It doesn't get any better than that. And I'm sure as you chat with people about what's going on for them, there's a heart hook in it for you too. You're unpicking and unpacking and meeting emotional needs for yourself as well.
Yes, hugely, hugely. That's so on point and really the finger on the pulse with that, absolutely, because it comes back, twofold, threefold, fourfold back. It really does. And after I have done treatments and been with women, I remember even texting my friend and I said, I cannot understand how much I love this work.
Mm-hmm.
I love what it does for them and how it makes them feel, because there is, whatever they might be going through in their lives, in their marriages, where they are, as mothers, with their children growing up, fleeing the nest, and that they're again haven't given to themselves. And this is the time where they can give to themselves. And when they come in and they lie back, they chat and we have lovely conversations, we get this done. And skin regeneration is not an immediate result. It is something that over years that you've done the damage to your skin, or you've been tired, or you've given away yourself. Now you're giving it back. So it does take time for the regeneration. But when they see the result 2, 3, 4 weeks later, then it all starts coming back. But when they leave the house, they just feel as,
Yeah.
I've done something for me. And it's amazing.
Well, particularly because they get to do it with somebody who wants to chat and talk. I think the connection piece, that communication and the quality exchange of attention, I think, is probably equally as important as the procedure.
Yes,
that
and
they're having done.
somebody who understands.
Yeah.
I've been through that. I've been that person. And I have been the person who has given and given until there's no more to give. I've been to the brink. Mm-hmm. So I get it and I understand it. And I just love being there for them as well.
Yeah, it's so rewarding. So your allostatic load is rising and you're running out of capacity, but you're still trying to give more because we have to. As women, we just have to. We have children that have needs. No matter what age they are, no matter where they are in the world, we're still connected. It's like a little piece of our own heart off out there in the world, walking around by itself. Mm-hmm. So it's actually a really challenging one when they leave the nest. It's a different level of loving.
Yes.
And you really have to hand over some of your autonomy. You love that sense, the meeting of the need for autonomy and control. When they're younger, you can do that because you can decide what company they keep, what they wear, where they go. Then they're off out in the world and your hands are out of the clay, whether you like it or not.
Completely. And that is another milestone. That is so difficult. Mm-hmm. And I remember when Lily is doing psychology, and on her third year, she went to America, to North Carolina for a year. To say I nearly crashed the car when she told me when she was in the car, and she was like, "Mommy, are you okay?" And I was like, "Yes. Yeah, oh my God," to get my head around that. Mm-hmm. My baby going like that for a year to America. Oh my God. So like when she did and she left, it took me, I'd say about 2 days, I was bereft. Mm-hmm. Bereft. Like you are put out to graze as a mother, and now I had Ruby at home and she was nearly like, well, I'm the single child now. But now she's in college. But you do again adapt. You adapt to it again as a mother. You have to give them the roots and to give them the wings. Yeah. And then that's when you start finding yourself. Yeah. That's when you start coming back to yourself. Yeah. And then you go, oh no, are they coming home for Christmas? Oh no, joking.
Yeah,
joking,
I know.
Not at all. The house then is upside down and the food is raided in the fridge and everything is chaotic again. And then it goes back to peace again. Then you miss them again. Yeah. But that's where you start giving to yourself. And that's where women are giving to themselves now. And this is their moment now, let's say.
For sure. Yeah. Have you had those procedures done yourself? I'm sure
I have had loads.
Have you? Tell me. I really genuinely don't. It's a bit like we chatted before about the fasting with Dinny that came up on the show a few weeks ago, and he challenged us and I floundered, I have to say. I was very honest about that because it's not something that I've done before. Yeah. But like that, I haven't done procedures at all. So tell me, I would love to know, what do you do? What's it like? Is it sore? What do you recommend? What have you had yourself? What can you speak of from your own personal experience?
Well, I suppose I remember at a stage when I was starting to talk about aesthetics on my business page, I lost thousands of followers. And I was like, that's okay. To me, I don't mind because I'm going to be honest with what I'm doing because I don't mind because I know there are women out there who would love to know how to, do better for themselves or feel better about themselves or anything like that. So I started with Botox as a lot of people do. And I think they're starting younger and younger, which I don't think they need to. That's one thing. But I did start with Botox, and then there was an era of fillers, and the area of fillers I had quite deep bags, so I had like little bits there to help with those bags. I was contemplating eye surgery, which is so severe. So at least that was put to the side then. But then after that, I found that my skin was starting to lose laxity. I was coming into my 40s, perimenopause. And I think I like Botox is not going to fix this. And fillers are not going to fix this either. And you cannot keep filling your face. There's certain small things that you can do, and people should not be afraid of filler because there's only small amounts that you can use. And that pillow face is not really, something like that's overdoing, and that's scare tactics. But the skin rejuvenation is where it's at now. So we're talking about like broadband light in lasers, Moxie, which can help with skin discoloration, which I've had both. But that laser also is collagen producing, so it stimulates the skin for the skin laxity. And then to keep that up is microneedling, which is, I can tell you now, the most amazing thing you can do for your skin. So it is creating little microchannels in your skin to make your skin react to it, and then to produce elastin and collagen, and that gives it its bounceability. So I do that microneedling myself every month. And then I have red light therapy.
On yourself?
On myself,
Wow.
yes.
Is it a little bit, Caroline? Now, this is probably a very basic way of understanding, but is it a little bit like when we exercise in the gym?
Absolutely.
We're causing stress to our muscles, and then it's in the repair of that we
Yes,
condition our
100%.
bodies and change our
100%. That is absolutely it.
So body composition, skin recomposition, probably on the same lines.
And people are now only kind of really coming to terms with the understanding that our skin is this organ that needs to be cared for as well as every other organ is in your body. Your skin is the same. So when you're losing collagen as we're getting older, as we're going into perimenopause, as we're losing hormones, your skin is losing that laxity as well. So what you're doing is you're creating this micro trauma for it to respond and heal itself.
That's
it's amazing.
A very different way of understanding it, I have to say. I have never heard it explained like that. And I would hold space differently. I would never have had an adversity to it anyway. It's not something I have done and at the moment would consider doing. But I have no adversity to it, and less so now, having heard it explained like that. There's a real, in the biosphere of all of us, in our relationships and in our quality connection and the career paths that we follow. And as that changes, why wouldn't our interpretation of that which is available in the world around us change?
Yes.
Things are changing all the time.
And it's an education around it as well. So sometimes what people find as well, where their skin can be dehydrated as well, and that's underneath the dermis, and that's where the skin boosters, that they are injectables. But again, people might think, oh, they're afraid of that. This is not something to be afraid of. This is actually working with the fibroblasts in the skin. So you're injecting under the dermis, very lightly under the dermis, and that's rehydrating. And again, the stimulant on the cells to produce the collagen and the elastin as well. So this is working under the skin. The microneedling is working on the skin. So that's what I am forever at.
And loving it.
And loving it.
So you go for these procedures yourself, and
I do them. I was going for them myself, and then I was paying for them, and I was going to other people that were nurses, and I'm going, wait a second, wait a second. Why am I not doing this? And it's not necessarily to be like, we all do need in this day and age a second and third hustle to keep up with the bills and just the way the world is going. For me, it was, okay, let's see where this goes. Because if it doesn't go anywhere, at least I can do myself, which I do. And I do inject myself, and that's okay as well.
Are you oh my God.
Am I out of my mind? I know.
No, well, you're definitely not, because you clearly know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like it's a totally different skill set.
Yeah.
Even, I can only imagine because you're using a mirror, I'd imagine wow. Gosh.
I know.
Have you ever had wee accidents? You're probably not going to tell me now. We're live online, because that's not going to be good for the business. But I don't necessarily mean with your clients. But I just can only imagine a needle slipping or things not maybe turning out. No, it doesn't go.
I haven't had an accident or anything like that. But what I have done, the Lumi eyes, which is the skin booster on the eyes, and we have little veins, in our eyes. I have had where I'm ejecting along, and then there is this little vein there, and like ideally you mark it with a white line, and you can avoid it. But of course, there was one stage where I didn't avoid it, and I ended up with a little bruise down here. But that can happen with Lumi eyes, with skin boosters. Anyway, I can see you cringing.
Well, only just because I'm a bit of a needle phobe.
Are you?
Oh, yes. Well, I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody has a reason for everything, really,
Yeah.
don't they? And the heart has reasons that reason may not understand, particularly as time changes. But in my own life, I had 3 cesarean sections for the birth of my 2 boys and my little girl that passed away. And so I had, very unfortunately, I'm going to say, a Michael Neary experience, which I consider to be very unfortunate. I know there are many people who will still be advocates for Michael Neary. I feel quite butchered by him. And I've written a story, I've written an article and a story called Love Your Lifelines, because I have quite the butchered tummy. I'm never going to have a bikini body. And because of that, I think, and my experience with that, and the fact that then I had to have my other babies the same way, because when you've gone in that way once, you have to go in that way again. And there's a lot of trauma, most of which is healed, and some of which is still in my shadow that I work on a little bit at a time. And I think a trigger for me might be unnecessary procedures from my perspective, from my vantage point. I think my body has shut down on that unless it's absolutely necessary, because I'm in my pain body with that one.
Sure.
And it's just a different thing. It's just a different thing. I mean, I look at the beautiful person in front of me and I think, apart from how very naturally beautiful you are anyway, I respect the fact that you've got these lovely procedures that you're trained to do and do so well. And that's kind of where I would leave it then. It just wouldn't come into my radar.
Yes.
Not now anyway.
No.
I don't know if at a later stage, but it is mostly, I think, from... I couldn't possibly say fear, because I've done so much work on healing myself, and to the point where I did a photo shoot, a very intimate photo shoot, which was very brave at the time, but very important as a part of my healing. And I wrote the story, and the lovely photographer for whom I did the shoot won a competition. So I was delighted, and it was very important. It was one of those lines in the sand, you know, those moments, Caroline, where you don't know it's coming your way, but you've clearly done so much healing, and you're at a point now where you need to level up in the healing to get to the next stage. So you have to go a bit visible with it. And I know that's it's perhaps a dubious thing to say, because we're on our socials now and you'll hear people all the time. We chatted about the lovely interview that I did with Gavin Meenan, and Gavin is so honest and open.
Incredible.
An amazing man. And part of that for him was the day and hour when he realised, I'm ready for visibility with this. I'm going to share, and I'm going to share for the higher good, because every time I teach something, I learn it twice.
Sure.
And I feel in my own life, that's probably where I was at with my healing at that point. And I remember at the time, and it's now going to be re-released. The story's being re-released. There's a different iteration of it being re-released. But at the time, I met some people I don't even know very well. But we went into a pub that we would drink in quite regularly. And I remember more or less a lineup of people. Did you, oh yeah, oh gosh, how terrible, that must be awful. I would never do such a thing. And it was never, I found in the beginning, it wasn't, oh, I'm really sorry for you that happened, or gosh, it was, I can't believe you showed that, because it's definitely not my best look. But I found myself to be more in my healed self.
And in your
that.
power.
Yes.
You had taken your body back. Yeah, absolutely.
And
hugely.
I really needed to do that. Again, because of perhaps my attachment style. There would be different brain types, different people who interact with the world in a different way, for whom that would be healed just because it was a long time ago. I clearly need to work on the narrative. And part of putting down the story of sadness that went with that, and feeling a bit othered. Why did everybody else get to have their babies seamlessly?
Why me?
Why me? The why me moment.
Yeah.
As I healed that, I felt, well, one of the things I can really do now is I can step up into this sense of I'm okay with that. And I called it my baby's lifeline, which changed. It was a lovely reframe. And equally, as people go to you then and they do this work where somebody is able to help them to feel safe and secure about what they're doing, not to doubt it.
Yeah.
I chatted with somebody briefly this morning. I think I said this to you earlier, who was considering getting, I don't know whether it was Ozempic, one of the skinny jabs. And at the last minute, he changed his mind. He just didn't feel safe and secure, hadn't done the psychotherapy around it, really felt that it probably would deliver the end result he desired, but he feared it. And I wonder if a lot of these ladies that go to you for these procedures might be in two minds until they get into your company.
Sure.
They look at the evidence of how it's going to be in the end, and then they have that lovely quality connection with you.
Yes. And it is really at that initial consultation. And one thing that I cannot bear, I suppose, in this aesthetic world, as we're learning, as we all are learning, and especially as, now that I'm in this learning curve with aesthetics, I cannot stand that marketing, the push for things that are not necessary for people, what you find works and what doesn't work. And, there is nearly an embracing of what's natural to you, but bringing that out as well. But I will never sell these people things that they do not need. This is something for them. And I think when people do come and speak to me, talk to me, engage with me, they will see that and they see the difference and they know that there's no BS behind this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that's where the fear dissipates then.
Amazing. What would you consider too much? Pray tell.
To be honest with you, I remember there was an interview with Cher, and there was an interviewer, and she said to Cher, what have you done? Have you done this? Have you done that? And whatever. And Cher actually sat back and she said, if I put my tits on my back, that is my business. And it is so true. So I don't feel that there is too much. It is an individual choice. If you want to wear earrings on your right up your ears, if you want to wear a monkey on your head, that is your business. It is each an individual to what the person wants. It is their body. It is what they want. For me, it's not about, is it too much? It's really what they want to do. But it's not something that I would do for them. If they want to go somewhere else for that, that's okay. I will give my advice and my thoughts on it and what would work best, what I think would work best. But if they want to do something, if they want to have more filler, if they want to have bigger lips, if they want to do anything like that, I'm not that person to do it for them.
Do you think it's an addiction with some people after a while?
Yeah, I can see it because I could do it myself. Absolutely. Because you can nearly see the gains from it and the dopamine from it and the feeling that you get from it. Sure, of course there could be that, a little bit more, could I do a little bit here? What'll I have next? So you do have to have a reality check with yourself, absolutely. So you don't want to damage your skin either. You don't want to overstimulate your skin. You need to know the balance and the education of your skin barrier as well. You want to be encouraging your skin barrier. You don't want to be damaging it. So it is a fine line again, but it's like saying, I've had my bottle of wine, will I have another glass? It's that kind of thing. It's like, where do you stop? Where do people stop? It's a tough question that it's individual, but can it be addictive? Absolutely. You do have to be careful.
Yeah. What part of it would you become addicted? Would one become addicted to? Is it the sense of improving their look, or is it meeting a need? Is it chasing the hungry ghost to some extent?
Look, we can look at certain celebrities for that. There are celebrities that we can see that have gone too far. And deep down when you look at that is deep insecurity and that's deep rooted. And because they have the money and the accessibility to do so, they can. We can't. We can't do it because we haven't that, currency to do so. Maybe it must be a different world for them as well, where they're in the spotlight and they must be very self-critical, so I suppose when we do see that, it's sad in itself.
Yeah.
It really is, because there's a part that there's a balance to it as well, where we can encourage and make the best of ourselves. But it's nearly like saying, where is too far with hair extensions, or where is too far with your nails, or where is too far with this? And, It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It really is. But it's really what is in the person and their journey. How far have they limited themselves? How far have they come? Or you can see that it could be ideally meeting a need, as you say. Absolutely so right in saying that. Yeah.
I think it's probably because you bring in veno collapso as a comparison, which I think is very suitable at this point in the conversation. You know, that normalizes the fact, should we do that? We do it with our coffee, we do it with our chocolate as well. You know, you have one, sure, you're going to have more.
That was lovely.
Yeah,
We'll have another.
Exactly. You know, that was lovely, more seems better, surely.
Yes.
And we do it in relationships as well. We can be very addictive in relationship. We can be actually addicted to our partner. It can guise itself as love or lust, but it can be addiction to the same pattern.
It's a dopamine hit. It's the another handbag. It's another, pair of shoes, whatever it is.
So feeding these needs can be quite addictive, and there can be a common denominator. It's the vantage point from which we do it. Like if you open your bottle of wine from a vantage point of pathogenesis, where you feck the world and feck him and feck her and feck all of this, or even, I've had a really tough week. Good God, I've earned this.
Yeah.
You could be coming to your bottle of wine from a fairly risky vantage point. You know, you glug, could be different because you could go to the end of the bottle and into another. And again, on a different day, if you come to your bottle of wine with your pal and you have a chat, even if you do open the second bottle, who cares if you're...
And you're in a heap on the floor giggling.
If the space in between you is filled with love. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because there is no such thing as an empty space.
Yeah.
Everything is filled with frequency and energy, and you're responding to that. We're all responding to the quantum field that we're standing in at any time. So whatever vantage point is the point from which we choose to have a procedure done will probably determine the outcome in the long run and our resilience for it and our growth through it.
Yes.
I suppose.
But generally I have to say, and it's certainly in aesthetics and my colleagues that I would bounce off as well that have more experience than I have, and Dr. Sana is one in particular, and the chats that we have over and back in the aesthetic world, if you have that moral code and those ethics to it as well, they won't do that. So, it depends on who you go to as well. And you want to be going to somebody reputable to do your homework and to have that relationship with them.
Yeah.
Even that one that I've built up with Sana as well through the years, I can be really honest with her and say, do you think, or what do you think? And that is where you can get that guidance with it.
I think that's key in every walk of life. Do you mean that from the point of view of procedures that you would have yourself or for your clients or both?
For both. And because I've learned that with her, I can now do that myself with my own clients.
Well, it's like me in psychotherapy. I have to have my supervision and I would have my supervision and use it for myself if I feel the need and or to run a case by my supervisor. Just always realising we don't know it all.
No, and we need the sounding board. Yes, absolutely.
Sure. It keeps everybody safe.
Yes.
And then to involve in a series of procedures. So when somebody goes to you, would they be necessarily coming back then for top-ups? Is that the way it works?
Absolutely.
Is it a one and done ever?
No, never, because your skin needs that regeneration. It needs that care and attention. It's like when your hair is growing. I had my hair dyed once, so I'll never have it dyed again. No. It needs that constant work. So it would be once we have those. It depends on the client itself, and it depends how far their skin and what it needs, how far it's gone and what it needs. So it could be like, ideally 2 to 3 months of the treatment spaced apart, and then maybe every 6 months to a year. But it's not, obviously that initial is really the full blow is what you're giving the skin of what it needs, and then you're topping up afterwards. But it is, your skin is, again, the key is in the word, it's regeneration. So it needs that care all the time,
Yeah. Do you find that women in their mid-years, so we chatted briefly as well about menopause, the proverbial, and do you find that women in their mid-years feel the need to go to you in any greater way than perhaps women that are younger? Oh no, you said Botox, people are having Botox quite
They're
early
having
now.
it younger, yeah. I think maybe it's because it's the age that I am, and, with my socials obviously can help put the word out there that I have started in aesthetics now. So that does help. So probably the demographic is around my age anyway. But because I'm working in Aer Lingus as well, I meet all different types and all different ages. So women are, I would say probably from, it's hard to say, I suppose, really as just as yet, but I would say from their mid-30s upwards is where they're really starting to look at the skin regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
When you're under that, you don't really need that.
Yeah.
You know, microneedling, it has its place for skin that has maybe been scarred by acne, or there's open pores or any uneven skin tone. That certainly works. But when we're talking about laxity, or we want that bounce back ability in our skin, we're talking my demographic.
Yeah, and also because hormones are changing. And
Hormones are changing, and let's get that out there. You know, thank God we can talk about this and be open about it, because, and when we think of our mothers that went before us, how did they do it? Thank God we can speak freely about it, and to each other, and no shame in it about being the age that we are.
You know, and men as well are chatting about their own self-care, and andropause is real. I had a great chat with Niall O'Loughlin a number of months ago here on the show, which was so funny, about andropause. And obviously men are going through their own hormonal changes that is in and around the same time as women. It just hasn't had its moment yet. But a bit like protein, it will have its moment. Yeah. It just hasn't happened yet, but it's on the way. And they're going through. So do you ever treat men by any chance?
I do, absolutely, absolutely. Now they have a different skin structure as well. So if, you know, they nearly need like a little bit more. Our skin is softer, theirs is a little bit thicker. But absolutely, it's open to them as well.
What are men having done?
They are the microneedling and the skin boosters as well. Absolutely, absolutely. So it's that refreshment on the skin as well. So they are no different.
Yeah.
They are no different. So they need that skin regeneration as well. So it is open to men too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen the meme, "Welcome to Hollywood, don't look at my neck." Have you seen that one?
Do you remember the I'm Worried About My Neck, the book by Esther?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So, look at your neck.
Yeah, and so you have done a procedure on your neck, haven't you? I saw that on your... Have you had something?
Do you know, I had the neck Botox.
Yes.
That was with
neck
Dr.
Botox.
Sana. Yes.
Yes.
So I had the neck Botox, and it's something that you need to keep up as well. And I'm microneedling the neck as well, and then the red light therapy as well. So I have the red light therapy mask on.
I'm pulling up out of my waist and trying to stretch my neck as we're talking. I'm like, mother of God.
Oh, sure. I'm the same when I'm doing recordings or doing any outfit change, and I'm like, I should bring that phone
I
up.
know.
You know,
Stop. I know. It's just the one thing that you can't. And did that work? Did the neck Botox work?
It did, absolutely. And then I had like Radies, which is another biostimulator as well. And that's done with a cannula. Sorry now, I know you're a needle phobe, but it actually stimulates the collagen in the skin, because this is the first to go. Mm-hmm. This is the first to go. This gives it away. Do you know? So we need to mind our neck as well. We need to be worried about our neck.
I know. My gorgeous Auntie Anya, Lord of mercy on her, used to wear scarves, and one of her little grandchildren said to her one day, famously said to her, "What age are you?" And I think she would have discussed her age with her grandchild, and he said, "God, imagine, your neck looks so much older." And I think actually it was after that she wore her little scarf. She was really glamorous and really beautiful, and she would always wear a little scarf anyway, but I think she became married to the scarves thereafter.
Absolutely, that ingrained into her. Like, tell me how you really feel.
I know.
Yeah.
So Caroline, what is next for Gorgeous You? You're in Aer Lingus, you're vlogging, blogging, when you travel. This is a new part of the content creation now.
Now, to be honest with you, that is a very uncomfortable zone with me as well. Now, I am part-time in Aer Lingus, which is great, because as I've been getting older, I know I'm still young, but as I've been getting older, the energy levels it takes to do that, and it does have an effect on your body, the flying. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you have to remember, like when we're doing those transatlantic flights, we are doing without one night of sleep every week. Mm-hmm. So it's going to have an effect on your body. So doing that part-time, but very reluctantly, I was doing those travel videos, because again, Lily and Ruby were saying, "Mommy, the people are doing this on TikTok and you should be doing this." And I was like, okay. I did one with the help of a colleague, a friend of mine, and I did that, and it absolutely blew up. But like, I'm mortified at the same time, because I'm like, oh my God, I was one of those that I didn't expect to take off like that. Yeah. And it did. I've one that I'm just back from New York and I have another one. But that particular one that blew up, that was very active. We went walking and visited loads of different places. That's not reality. Trust me.
I was thinking
Not
that,
at
but I was
all.
thinking Aer
Yeah.
Lingus could do with sponsoring you to do that, because it would be such a good opportunity for them to pull in new staff. It really makes the job look like the job to be in. If you were never inclined to
Yes.
want to travel the world and work to do it, or work while you do it.
And that's lovely, but that's the good part of the job. That's the good part. We're not allowed to video the reality, and there is a reality to it.
Yes.
You do need patience, you do need resilience, you do need stamina. You are on your feet a lot. Very challenging situations. And obviously there are times when there are extremely challenging situations with medicals or any kind of difficulties with passengers that are very sick, or with emergency situations.
Yes.
It's a job that has that we're qualified in so many different ways. So when you see those videos, they're fun. They're fun, and it shows the fun aspect to it. And when we're on the other side, but you have to remember, when you go, you've worked the whole way across the Atlantic. It could be 1 or 2 in the morning Irish time, and then you have to stay awake for another 5 or 6 hours. Then you have your sleep through the night. You could wake up in the middle of the night, and you have a half a day or a full day to go, and then fly through the night home. It's very challenging.
Yes.
Now, I do have a video that I'm due to post during the week and whenever, but it's really the lazy layover, and that's what I normally have.
Yes. Yeah. Because your circadian rhythm would be really hard to get back in sync, I'd imagine. One night is a lot to lose.
Huge.
You'd be lost in terms of where you are in the world for quite a while. You could be. But then you've posted, I said this to you, I thought I was shocked, because I've done sleep hygiene for years as part of my therapy. And I couldn't believe that you're able to sleep for 12 hours or 14 hours straight through.
I am a devil for sleep.
Wow.
Devil. And when I was born, and as my sisters say to me that I was mom's favourite, there was a reason for that, because I slept. And I was one of the stragglers, let's say. She thought she was having her menopause. And
along came gorgeous you.
I know, yeah. Anyway, poor mom. But at least I slept. So it is, I'm not sure whether it's a skill or a hindrance, because I can sleep like that. But again, like I was landing in from Dublin to LA on that particular one. It was 3 a.m. Irish time. And it was, 9 o'clock there. So I was getting into bed 9 o'clock, which is fine. But I actually slept the whole way around. I mean, when I say that bed is my sanctuary, I'm not joking.
Oh, but
it is like, yeah, thankfully I'm blessed with it.
It's great. And is it sleeping straight through and sleeping comfortably and not disturbed sleep, not waking up?
I literally quite
Comatose.
I can comatose. But you know what I've found as I've been getting older, and as my hormone levels are changing, depending what's going on in your life, if you have a stressful period in your life, I find that I can wake up in the middle of the night, and that's when the cortisol level just goes ping. Yeah. And it's like, oh my, how am I going to sleep? That is a new thing. That's a new thing. So
what would you do with that?
The Calm app or audiobooks. I'm trying to actually get my brain to stop the chitter, chatter, and the anxiety. Because like with the anxiety with perimenopause is, they wake up in the middle of the night and say, why did I say that in 1996? What the hell is my brain doing? Why is it going over these anxious thoughts that are absolutely ridiculous and have no relevance? But they do. So what I do is that. Now, it doesn't always work. Sometimes I just have to get up, make a decaf tea, have a piece of toast, put something in my tummy, and then that kind of naturally puts me to sleep.
Yeah, well, that's a wise choice, because to lie there is just torturing yourself.
Oh, it's dreadful.
And anxiety, in essence, and ancestrally, was in order to get food. So when you feed your stomach, you do confuse anxiety. Now, it won't necessarily always fix the anxiety. If you're suffering from anxiety for a myriad of reasons, feeding won't always work, and it isn't always wise. But a piece of toast in the middle of the night with a green tea probably can be a wise choice, as opposed to lying there, because you're going to be quite anxious, twisting and turning. And then worried about not sleeping and worried about worrying about not sleeping. And it's just
And then
a
looking at
downward
your
spiral.
watch going, oh, I have 4 hours before I get,
Yeah.
before you get up. That's terrible.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then mental health can be in the toilet the next day because you didn't get
Oh.
one night's sleep. And it's hard to get perspective
Mm-hmm.
during that day. But if you keep a diary, it's a good idea maybe just to jot down in a diary how you're feeling on a given day, the fact that you didn't sleep, what you work out through the day was probably the cause for that, and just leave it at that. Don't look for answers. Just leave it and allow it to be your capacity then on another day when you're not feeling great. If you look back at that and say, well, do you know what? The next day when I look at my diary, I was better. So it was just the lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Because Mother Nature is coming out as your therapist in your REM sleep. So if you don't get that, you're out of kilter
Oh,
for the rest of the day. Nothing seems the same.
Yes. And we spoke yesterday on the phone and it was landing day for me. And I was like, my brain is not braining, so
Yeah.
bear with me.
And don't ask anything too important
Yeah,
today. I could sign my life away today. Yes, I know.
Yeah, completely.
What about, just very briefly now, what about menopause? How is that
Yes.
showing up for you in your life?
Do you know, I don't want this to come across as like, oh, I don't have any symptoms, you know, one of those. It's not that. I do. But I'm getting away with it lightly, thankfully. So, but the way it kind of showed up for me, and I would say I really kind of started addressing it, let's say 4 or 5 years ago. And it was particularly, let's say, Leo passed away in 2021. And I remember kind of after that thinking, I'm not feeling the same. Now, at the time, I took off 3 months from work after Leo passed away. So I had plenty of time to process, but I needed it. But I also found that I needed to look at what was going on in my body. Even if I did have a drink, it wasn't metabolizing the same. I would be awake all night. I couldn't sleep. I had to choose if I was going to have a drink or whether I would sleep. It's one or the other. Couldn't have both. But then I started to look at my hormone health. I went to the doctor at the time that I went to. I had the blood test done and they said to me that I'd been through it. But as we now know with blood tests, they are not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have a very low luteal time or whatever it might be, and their hormones could be very, very low. But like they were telling me I was through it, and then the following month I was ovulating. So you can't be through it and ovulating. So it is a very fine line. But the way it showed up for me was brain fog, anxiety, and tiredness more than anything. I wasn't, and I still haven't, thank the Lord, haven't had the night sweats or any of those flushes or that kind of other symptoms. There's varied symptoms. Thankfully, I don't have those. But I'm well patched up. My doctor, Dr. Samir, is well versed on menopause and does plenty of his educational days out on menopause. And when he keeps a close eye on the levels that I'm on, and I was on the 50 milligrams twice a week, and then I was saying to him, I'm still getting blood tests going, I'm tired and this and that and the other. And we looked at my hormones level, he was going up now. We have to go up with these. So it's really kind of keeping that balance on it. But it's not even that. I was feeling symptoms that I was going, I'm complaining about this. This is exactly menopause, whatever. It was so subtle. And that's why I don't want to be preachy, but I definitely say to my friends who are in their mid-40s, please start. Please start now for your future self, for your bones, for your heart, for your brain. Start low on your estrogen or progesterone or testosterone or whatever it is for your future self. Don't get to the point where you're so bad that you're at your doctor going, what is wrong with me?
So you find that the patches have made a huge difference.
I can't even say that they have made a huge difference, but it's so subtle.
Yeah.
It is so subtle because my symptoms were so, I can't say minor. It was for me, there was a definite change, but I just knew that I was doing something right for my body by having those patches.
And again, I think that comes back, Caroline, to what we said a few minutes ago about doing something from a vantage point of salutogenesis as opposed to pathogenesis. So you went in there and more or less even prophylactically decided, I'm going to do this. I'm not majorly symptomatic, but what you believed in was the need to do that. And when you do it from that perspective, it can surely serve you. And somebody else, the friends that you're advising to not leave it till it's too late,
Yes.
might end up then at a later point from a point of view of feeling sad or sorry they didn't do it before, and that they may not have the same good effect, because a lot of it is your attitude to it as well.
Oh, and hugely. And this is the thing that, and I was that soldier, that we live in that kind of ageist society towards women. I now feel really annoyed about that because we are not put out to graze at a certain age. We still have value and we still have presence no matter what age we are. And I refuse to be that person that is nearly, I used to hide my age, now I don't anymore. And I was nearly, because it was nearly something that I learned from my father. He was the same. He was a very young looking, good looking man. So he used to hide his age. He was remarkable looking for his age. So he used to hide it. And I nearly used to think, well, go the other way. Say you're 94 and, say I'm 94 instead of 50. They'd be like, wow, you look good. But I think that as that age of society, that is damaging to women because they're like, I'm not perimenopausal. I'm not that yet. And I remember doing that myself, going, I'm not that. I'm still, fertile. I'm still this. I still have my place in society. Who cares if you're not? Who cares? Doesn't matter. This is happening us all, and this is biology, and let's embrace it and let's do something about it and mind ourselves.
Absolutely. I love that. What are you doing for minding? Because you look stunning. So what does a day look like in Caroline's life? What do you have, an activity program? Do you have a nutrition program? What do you do? What
Sleep
are the
a lot.
mainstays?
I'm joking.
You do, and that's huge. That is the elixir, actually.
Yes.
Sleep is very, very restorative.
Yeah, no, I do sleep well, but I wish I could say that there was a formula to it because every day is different with me, especially with flying. Lily and Ruby are now in college, so they may be home at the weekends. They might not. I have my online work, which I don't live by my phone. I don't like that. But my day is, I suit myself, to be honest with you. I get up when I've my days off. I'm a sleeper, so I would generally get up after 9 o'clock. I have 2 dogs at home and I have 2 cats as well that are outside. The dogs are inside, the cats are outside. And but my days are always kind of full and busy. When I'm at the end of the day, I can't believe that the day is over and I'm like, where has that day gone? But let's just say, I suppose as time has gone on, I'm good to myself. I like to get into the house. I'm very much a home bird. My home is my sanctuary. I love it there. I would prefer to stay at home than be out. So it's, and the supplements, I actually touched on this last night as well about my lion's mane and ashwagandha, obviously Laura Dowling's skin, hair and nails, her brilliant stuff.
Fantastic.
The Menomin, and take all those kind of things with my morning gin. I'm joking. That helps too. I'm joking. Absolutely not. But each day is different. But I think it's a matter of kind of suiting yourself, doing what you want to do, working at your own pace. If you are working from home, to do that in your own pace and your own space. Take your time out. And I do things in very little bits. So if I have, which I'm old school, I make a list in my diary and I tick them off bit by bit. If I have to fly into town, if I don't get them all done one day, it goes off to the next day and to the next page.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm doing
That's
right or
fabulous.
wrong.
That's great because you're just minimizing the emotional overheads, even from that point of view of organizing. And are you out walking? Are you lifting
Walking
weights?
the dogs?
Yeah.
No, I'm a devil now, and I definitely need to go to the gym, but it bores the living daylights out.
Yeah. Well, you definitely don't. Whatever you're doing it correctly.
It's been busy.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds kind of trite nearly, but I'm kind of on the go all the time.
Yeah.
I always have something to do. And whether it's down to housework or chores or errands in town, the dogs do get their walks. At the end of the day, when I get into bed, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I was plenty done today. Do you know? So I do my well, not I say
Dipping.
I do my dipping with
Yes.
my best friend Chrissy. She drags me out and fires me into the water. There is that as well. I need to get back into the swimming. She's a professional swimmer, so I need to start, doing a little bit more in that
Yeah.
way now that our days are getting longer now from
Yes.
this point onwards. But to be honest with you, it's all a mixed bag.
Yeah,
It's all
and
a
we live
mixed
on the
bag.
coast and
Yeah.
we can, and it's very good for your nervous system
Yeah.
if you're, depending on how you do it, dipping, swimming. Do you know the most important part of what I heard there is with your best friend, Chrissy?
Yes.
I think when we have that quality connection, it keeps us out of protection. It's like a little seesaw, and the fulcrum point moves when we're in connection with quality friendship, chatting and talking, whether we're dipping or swimming, walking or running, lifting weights or ironing a shirt. I think we're in potential connection all the time if we feel seen, heard, and valued. And I think really sleeping well, quality connection, getting out in nature, in quality company.
Yes.
In my opinion, supplement surely thereafter wherever you feel the need, but carefully, in moderation as well.
Yes.
If your nutrition is right, your levels of activity are appropriate for your age and for your physical wellness at a given time. But if your emotional fitness is top of your agenda, and then you can practice gratitude, as you say, at the end of the day, whew, that was a great day.
Yeah.
You're certainly on the right road, I think.
Yeah, and I think it keeps your mind right. And look, this has taken a long time to get here. This is not going, oh my God, I have it sussed. I do not. It's only for the moment right now that this is what works for me. But it has taken a long time. There's many an evening where I went home with a bottle of wine and, absolutely, felt like I was congratulating myself, but I wasn't. There's many a time that I had made those mistakes, gone to bed crying, not been able to sleep, my head up the walls, my just all over the place. So this is just after a 9-year, those years were
Growth spurt.
Yeah,
Protracted growth spurt. Yeah.
That spurt where I, was making those choices that were not good for me, but I was thinking this was all about survival. Right now, it's just kind of, I just need to suit myself and say no.
Yeah.
And say no. Like if there's times that you don't want to do something, just don't. I stay at home. My place is at home and I suit myself.
That's lovely. And just checking in with your own parasympathetic nervous system, because when we're in heightened anxiety, it's very difficult to remember at that time that we do have an option. We have to engage the parasympathetic nervous system, but breathing does that. You can breathe into your becoming. Just one breath can be all it takes to change your perspective, because you're awake but calm.
Yeah.
And then you can see clearly and do things differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Caroline, what a journey. Thank you for taking us on that journey with you. Thank you for sharing all of those nuggets. It's great to know where you're working out of. I'm sure your socials will be inundated with requests for further information now. I wish you health and happiness forever. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for highlighting the value of Pieta House, because I think when it was what you needed at that given time, it served you so well. But to come back here now, all these years later, and highlight that for other people who might be feeling lonely or sad, and that they know now they can lift the phone and get the therapy that they needed, the quality guidance that they need. In my opinion, that's really the invaluable part of what you do with your story. As you grow into a more healed version of your lovely self, it's wonderful to give something back.
Yes. Thank you so much for this. It's a wonderful opportunity. I just loved every second. Thank you so much, Síle.
And there you have it. Caroline's journey, like the rest of us, has moved through many chapters. In her case, from nursing to aviation to rearing her children, returning to college to study fashion, establishing herself as a much respected stylist and media host, and at a time and within the so-called Trini and Susanna culture when her distinctive vision could flourish in that model. She has since adapted with grace to digital disruption, becoming an endeared and endearing content creator. Her voice continues to evolve and inspire in equal measure. Alongside these professional achievements, Caroline has endured, as we discussed, profound personal loss, separation from her husband, the passing of both of her parents in quick succession, and the long-term courageous suffering of her beloved brother, with whom she was so close. The weight of these experiences, that cumulative, persistent pressure that science would describe as allostatic load, compounded, of course, by the long goodbye to her brother Leo, whom she loved so much, tested her capacity. Thankfully, Caroline recognised her vulnerability as a sign, and at that point, she reached out to Pieta House, where she was given life-enhancing support. Today, she shares that experience with radical self-honesty, offering a blueprint for others in similar states of loneliness or despair, in order to normalise protracted emotional pain, to recognise the coexistence of strength and fragility. It's real. They can exist together. And also to show that seeking help is an act of courage, not a weakness. Her story also illuminates the invisible patterns that shape how we connect, those attachment styles we chatted about. They're not a diagnosis or a disorder. Rather, they're patterns of belief and expectation formed by our early life experiences. They run quietly through our nervous system and subconscious. And whilst they're guiding us to seek our emotional needs being met healthily, they're also protecting the parts of us that feel vulnerable, those core fractures as such. Broadly speaking, attachment styles run on a continuum from insecure to secure. Secure might look like somebody who's comfortable with closeness and independence. Anxious might look like somebody who's seeking reassurance but has a heightened sensitivity to connection. Dismissive avoidant, for example, could be leaning towards self-reliance and emotional distance. Fearful avoidant, desiring connection but afraid of vulnerability. The thing is, when we learn to repair rupture, name our emotions as such, our attachment style evolves. We are, in fact, the master of our own relational world. And so, dear listeners, you know where I'm going with this. Your task for this week is to just notice the bids for attention and connection in your life from you to another and from another to you. Those moments when someone reaches towards you with intent and energy. Observe how you're responding. That space in between you and another is never empty. It's invariably going to be filled either with love, peace, joy, or on another occasion, tension, resentment, quiet seething. When you notice, you can learn the difference. Everything is energy. So watch for patterns in how you give and receive attention. Consider how that shapes the quality of your relationships. Reflect on your attachment style with bigger life events like grief and loss, as we discussed today, and also in the emotional regulation opportunity of everyday events. Ask yourself perhaps, how am I responding to my environment? How emotionally present am I? Am I operating out of my authentic self? How is my nervous system, my history, my attachment pattern influencing my response on this occasion? What narrative am I attaching to this situation? Am I willing to tell myself a different story? Just practice noticing with curiosity rather than judgment, and let that awareness guide you to greater levels of healthy empathy, emotional maturity, and a sense of hope. We talked about hope today. It's that stronger, more healed you, and it is emerging, as long as you show up and do the work. So reframing, seeing things differently, weeding out the unsupportive coping mechanisms, that limited thinking and belief system that's in your subconscious mind, stitches in new, improved bandwidth and capacity. It's increasing your window of tolerance. And these epigenetic upgrades bring you ever closer to healthier relationships and situationships. We're not doomed by our past attachment patterns. Awareness and conscious effort can transform how we connect and how we love. And remember, we're always getting an exact match for our own vibrational offering. So, are you telling me, Síle, that what's going on for me in my life is my fault? The blame game is destructive. It lives in the vibrational vicinity of regret, despair, humiliation, and it only feeds shame, guilt, apathy, and hatred even. Apportioning fault definitely won't make your boat go faster. Assuming the feeling state of wish is fulfilled, that's a different thing, and practicing gratitude for the growth potential within challenging life lessons. You're matching on to the lovely things that you desire in a case like that. Whatever you desire in a relationship, serenity, reverence, understanding, forgiveness, be that. The frequency of that loving sense of acceptance, harmony, and wisdom will be matched. So, considering it your fault is your kryptonite. Knowing it to be your very own response ability, now that's your power. And so it is.